Hey, what's up, YouTube? So I ran across an article while browsing around on the internet, and it just has some information about Denzel Washington and his views on colorism. And I found that really interesting. Um, so I'm going to read this article. Well, I'm going to read parts of it. The article is pretty long, but I'm going to just read the parts that pertain to him. But I'll leave a link in the description if you want to read the entire article. All right, so this is from a website called shadowandact.com. All right, and the title of the article is Denzel Washington says stop blaming colorism for any lack of success in Hollywood and work harder instead. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. That sounds real. All right. All right, so in an interview with BET to hype fences, when the issue of colorism was brought up by the interviewer and Hollywood's tendency to cast lighter skinned black actresses in lead or supporting roles over darker skinned actresses, Denzel Washington essentially dismissed the idea, not seeming to even realize what quote unquote colorism is. And then in parentheses, they say, when the interviewer mentions the word, Denzel asks, what does it mean? As if seeking an explanation. Uh, really interesting. And I'll let you know about that a little later in this video. Really interesting. Right. Making the case that it's colorism, making the case that it that colorism isn't always an issue, but also a question of talent, determination, preparation, and working hard to get what you want. So Denzel is quoted as saying the following: one of the best roles for any woman of color in the last, let's see, in a good while, or at least any movie that I've been in, a dark-skinned woman has in this film. So as long as you're being led by outside forces or just being reactionary, then you won't move forward. You have to continue to get better. Dot dot dot. You can say, quote unquote, oh, I didn't get the part because they gave it to the light skinned girl. Or you can work, and one day it might take 20 years and you can be Viola. Dot dot dot. The easiest thing to do is to blame someone else. The system. Yeah. Well, there's a possibility, maybe, that you're not good enough. But it's easy to say it's someone else's fault. But there's a possibility that you're not ready and you can still blame it on someone else instead of getting ready. And that's the end of his quote. So yeah, I find that really interesting. Denzel Washington, he seemingly dismissed colorism, right? And basically, work harder. Basically, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, dark-skinned women. Work harder. As if working harder is just, as if that's the problem, as if that's the factor. Like, it's just like, oh, dark-skinned women just don't work as hard as light-skinned women do. That's what's holding them back. They're just not working as hard as them. They're just not as talented as the light-skinned women. They're just not as determined as the light-skinned woman. Really? Come on. Which is a little interesting that he's saying this while being in the film with Viola Davis, who has been really outspoken about colorism. And in this article, they quote Viola Davis. I don't think she ever actually responded to this particular interview that Denzel Washington did. Understandably, because she probably just don't want no beef. They will take any reason. They'll use any reason to to cast a dark-skinned black woman in a negative light, right? When the black media gets a hold of this, let alone the white media, but the black media get a hold of this, they're going to cast and show Viola Davis as being an angry black woman trying to keep a black man down. But in an interview that Viola Davis did last year with The Wrap, I guess that's some sort of a publication, she said the following: when you do see a woman of color on screen, that paper bag test is still very much alive and kicking. That's the whole racial aspect of colorism. If you're darker than a paper bag, then you're not sexy. You're not a woman. You shouldn't be in the realm of anything that men should desire. Dot dot dot. I hear these stories from friends of mine who are dark skinned actresses who are always being seen as crack addicts and prostitutes. You know, and just a little sidebar. Amara La Negra had actually spoke about that casting bias before too. I think on the Breakfast Club about they're saying like, oh, you look nice, but they don't have roles for her really except for being the maid or being a prostitute. You know, and we all know how nice Amara La Negra looks. So can we just admit when something's fucked up? You know, can we admit to there, at least being a bias, right? Can we just admit it? Why are we beating around the bush? All right. Um, but all this is interesting because Denzel Washington previously, like some years ago, had actually acknowledged colorism, right? And a few years ago, Denzel Washington gave his daughter some advice when she expressed an interest in pursuing an acting career. And he said the following, quote unquote, you're black, you're a woman, and you're dark skinned at that. So you have to be a triple/quadruple threat. Dot, dot, dot. You got to learn how to act. You got to learn how to dance, sing, move on stage. That's the only place, in my humble opinion, you'll really learn how to act. Look at Viola Davis. That's who you want to be. Forget about the little pretty girls. If you're relying on that, then when you hit 40, you're out the door. You better have some chops. So previously, Denzel Washington had acknowledged that colorism is a factor, right? But so it's strange now that he's dismissing colorism. Like, where did the change come? And personally, I don't think it's smart from a PR decision, considering that a lot of black women are brown and dark skinned and do support Denzel Washington, and usually have always kind of spoke positively of Denzel Washington. I don't remember black women, any black women really ever bashing Denzel Washington. They usually say like, "Hey, he's kind of like one of the good ones," you know. You know. So yeah, that's really strange. But low key, Denzel Washington has been a coon for a bit of a minute. It's been going under the radar, but he's been a coon for a bit of a minute. I did a video about this a little while ago, like at least a year ago. But yeah, he was promoting some movie, I forgot, and was asked about kind of like police brutality and things like that, or something to that effect. And he said something to the effect of, basically, black folks got to raise their children right. It starts at home. That's the issue, you know. And, some people took some issue to that. Understandably, right? As if it's like, that's the only thing, you know. But, Denzel Washington probably in a position where he's like, he ain't trying to, end up like Colin Kaepernick and losing his career. No shade of Colin Kaepernick. But Colin Kaepernick, he been surviving. He been getting by though. You know, so no thanks to black media. Low key has been like the white media that's kind of been keeping Colin Kaepernick afloat. Low key. You know, but I'll say as far as Denzel Washington is concerned, you know, he has dismissed colorism, and he has also dismissed police brutality. All right. So it's kind of, he's dismissing the black man's problem and black women's problem. You know, it's just like, hey, it ain't me. you know. But what do you guys think about this, though? How do you guys feel about this? You know, do you agree with Denzel? Do you take issues with Denzel? Let me know in the comment section. Until the next video, adios and goodbye for now.